Since 2012, NK Architects and William Patterson University have enacted a series of projects with the goal of reinvigorating the oldest academic core of campus. As architects serving many institutions of higher education, we are often facing similar challenges that seem to be common amongst many varied campuses. What is particularly interesting to us is how institutions are dealing with older buildings and trying to figure out whether to renovate, repurpose, or start new with them. This, as the chart shows, is largely due to a substantial college and university construction boom that happened within the time period of 1960 to 1975. This boom was representative of the population growth and changing economy associated with the post-war baby boomer generation coming of college age. There was such a tremendous need for space that many buildings from this era are characterized by being simply or economically built. At William Patterson University of New Jersey, the university was dealing with and has enacted an exemplary plan to address this specific challenge head-on. Here we are looking at the current campus map. The highlighted area is the oldest academic portion of campus and the focus of what we will talk about. In black, you can see the two legacy buildings that predate the university. Here you can see Hunsicker Hall, the first academic building built by the university in 1951. Next, Hunsicker Wing, which was added to Hunsicker Hall in 1959. And the campus zone continued to grow with new additions throughout the 1960s, mirroring the trend seen in the construction chart earlier. To orient us to the building context, when we started in 2012, here is the coach house. This was a legacy building that actually served as a coach house to an 1800s mansion on site. Next, the university's first academic building, Hunsicker Hall, and then Hunsicker Wing. It's interesting to note that as we were discussing the construction boom caused by the baby boomer generation, there were only 8 years between the construction of the hall and the wing. In our humble opinion, the hall was built to last. There was a higher level of craftsmanship. The wing was built to give the university the space it needed as quickly as possible. You can read in the construction of the two buildings the severity of the university's need for space at that time. William Patterson University studied this zone and the buildings that it had inherited, and it came up with a plan. The first step was the hard decision to demolish the coach house. This gave the university the opportunity it needed to build a new building to reduce the stresses on the old buildings. This new building was a University Hall, opened in January of 2016. Next was the total gut renovation and renewal of Hunsicker Wing, now known as Preakness Hall. Nothing remains but the structure from the old building. This was a total renovation down to the bones. And finally, Hunsicker Hall. Again, the exterior as a heritage building is actually quite nice. It is due for a few exterior upgrades and repairs, but it has some wonderful features. Inside, the hall was in need of renewal. This was a typical view in that building. William Patterson University was founded as a teacher's college. The theory at the time was that you built academic buildings for a teacher's college to simulate the environments in which they would be teaching upon graduation. The interior of this building is not held up over time. It was inflexible and it was dated. Here we see a similar view today. Our focus was to modernize the educational space and find ways to create student space to break up the monotony of those corridors. The university's student body, it should be noted, is nearly 75% commuter students. Space for these students to touch down between classes was severely lacking, and it was at a premium. All of these architectural moves are happening around this central green space on campus. A goal of these projects was to create a new, dynamic center of gravity for this zone of campus on that green. William Patterson University did its due diligence and studied what it had, and then it dreamed about what it could be. Part of what got us, as architects, so excited when competing for the University Hall project was the language used in the university's request. There's a lot of truly great stuff. What was wonderful was that this university recognized, and in fact demanded, that architecture should be a vehicle for greater institutional change. And so out of those challenges, we responded. University Hall is a very different kind of academic building than existed on the campus at the time. It is open, it is transparent, it is connected. I remember seeing an email from a professor who had entered the new building for the first time, saying that it seemed almost millennial, as if it reflected and responded to the students that it now contained. What is special about the space here is that it's always for the students. The students are the priority and the focus of the building. Here we are now looking down on the Spirit Green from Google's view. You can see the back of University Hall on the lower left of the screen and Hunsicker Hall across the green. What is pretty cool about this view is that it is frozen in time during the renovation of Hunsicker Wing. you can actually see how the building was stripped down to the existing structure. Our intent was to make these strategic incisions where portions of the building are demolished and rebuilt to create new, open spaces that would build on the successes of University Hall and serve to bring the students to the green. This was a typical interior corridor condition in Hunsaker Wing, long, double-loaded corridors with no student space. And today, that space after being broken down with those strategic incisions for the student soft spaces. These selective demolitions allowed for active, multi-level moments with ample light and space that could not be accommodated by the rigid, original structure of the building. Here is the central outdoor quad space, the Spirit Garden, in 2012, and the Spirit Green as it stands today. The outdoor space benefits from major campus circulation patterns and the entrances of these new and renovated buildings being repositioned to make the green the center of gravity that it should be. So how do architects study whether or not the spaces work long after we are gone and the buildings are inhabited? Social media, of course. These places are for the students. Again, this is what made this project and our experience with William Paterson University so wonderful. Here are students playing Frisbee on the Spirit Green. Tomorrow's nurses celebrating their graduation in University Hall. The buildings and their spaces in between serving as the stages for campus life. Places designed for chance happenings and opportunities to engage, or spaces designed to make you want to take a selfie. And someone following through on that selfie at University Hall because of the, quote, perfect selfie lighting. Or my personal favorite, this guy that decided to play his saxophone on the roof terrace and serenade the campus. These are the things that make campuses wonderful, the relationships and memories that connect the students back to their institution for years to come.